In this video, I'm going to go over one of the major skips in the run, namely Airshkip. So I will first explain what the skip consists in, then I'll show you the easier path to do it, and afterwards I'll show you also the path that we actually use in runs, which is harder, and so I will put a timestamp in the description if you want to go directly to there. Note that the skip makes extensive use of the macro. So if you don't know what the macro is or how to use it, I refer you to my previous video with Fafnir skip where I explain it, and also to the Oxymor's video about it. So I will put the link of this video in the description. So Airshkip is actually the fact that we can completely skip the section where we go to the Viking stronghold to free Huldr. So we won't need to go through all of this mountain section here that ends at this sword in the background. Then that leads us to this oil platform of the Vikings, then go back, fight Halvtann, and finally get the axe. We can directly skip all of this by going into the cave where Halvtann is defeated. And to do this, we will do some trick to fly into the air, if you will, and this is what I'm going to explain. Now, to do this, we can either, well, there are a few places where we can be launched from to reach directly to this cave, and in runs, we actually launch from here. But this is a little bit harder, and it involves some techniques at the end on the mountain. And that's why I want to start with the easier path that goes up to the invasion scene, where somewhere here you will see when we are there, which is the intended path, actually. And I think when you start runs, it's better to start from here because the skip is easier to pull off. And then when you're a bit more comfortable, you can try to do it from here. So for now, we are just going to the invasion as usual. Here, if you have power slide, you can, I mean, this doesn't change much, but there's some smooth movement here that you can blink. If you jump and blink and you have power slide, you can reach here directly. And here also you can have some smooth movements. But you don't need power slide because now we know how to do slam jumps to reach high enough. Like this. And here if you have power slide, I'm not sure if you don't, but you can also get a pretty good boost and go directly to the left and blink through the fence. But I'm not going to give too much detail about movement here because I think you should still see this as a first step towards getting the actual skip from below. But again, it's better to start from something a little bit more straightforward. But yeah, I'm just not focused too much on perfect movement here. Just showing the way. So here you can just blink out of this wire to avoid to grab the ledge. It's a small optimization here. You can also, so you would do this and stomp and maintain left. So let me show that again. This is the same technique as for the slide, so just be careful because if you maintain the cloak, you will end up here. So you want to be somewhere in the middle here and stomp and hold left. And put back the cloak to stick to the wall like this. And with power slide, you end up directly on top here. Maybe if you actually don't hold slide, I'm not sure what it does. But anyway, you will arrive at the invasion scene here. So you need to blink through that. You will activate the cutscene here, and you can wait in front of this sarcophagus here. This will be just in front of Halvtann. Now, as soon as he has the shield raised, you can go. So either you have power slide and you can just maintain power slide, or gain some speed by sliding and jumping, like we do, and you can blink. But so before actually doing the trick, I will need to explain what it is. So usually you would need to take this wire in a normal playthrough. And this wire takes you into the mountain. So we'll see it better in a second. But the thing is, with this wire, once you enter it, you cannot go out of it. So if I enter the wire now, I will not be able to blink out of it until the very end. In the second part of the video, I will explain what to do if you take the wire willingly or by mistake, because you can back it up. But usually you don't want to enter the wire. Now, if it happens that you enter the wire and you don't want to, you can just pause, quit, and reload, and you will be back here. So no problem. So what we want to do for the skip is to stay in the air. And the way to stay in the air is to use the macro. So if you have enough speed, using the macro will keep your horizontal momentum, but will allow you to keep at a decent height, to not lose too much height. And you want to do the macro as soon as possible in order not to lose height. But keep in mind that the blink has a cooldown. So if you see the animation on Lumina, I get the blink back after 1 second. So you cannot spam the macro, you need to do it at least 1 second away from the previous one, but not too much later than this. So it's a bit of a training to get the timing right, but I'm mentioning this path here from the invasion. It's easier because you have more leniency about the macro timing. So you can be safe even if you don't do it like exactly at 1 second. If you wait a little bit more, you will still be able to get the trick. Now, what I usually use to perform this is the sound. So after you use the stomp and macro, you have this kind of whoosh sound. And I wait for the end of this sound before doing the macro again. So then it's a bit of a feeling, but if you really wait for the end of this should be fine. So now I'm going to demonstrate it. I will not talk in the meantime because I have to listen to the sound, but hopefully you can see what happens. When you do it from here, even if you are not too tight on the macro timing, you can reach above the cave that we are aiming for. And so this is also the other reason why it's easier to train it first from here. Now, if in the middle of the sky you happen to miss one of the macro timing and you stomp instead of using the macro, you can either reload, or if you're not too far from the mountain, you can try to continue macroing to the mountain, but you should decide. If you are in doubt, just redo it from here. So let's do it. I'm going to take a little bit of speed from here, and then I have to jump at the end to jump above the wire, and then I will be able to do the macro. Like this. So I don't have actually that much speed here, but if you have power slide, it's even better. So you can hear that I'm only pressing the macro again once the sound is done. Now, another thing that I should mention is that it's better to have vsync off in your settings. And I will tell you a little bit more about this in a second, just focusing here. So I'm getting closer to the mountain, and you see, so this is actually not the wire from the tower, it's the wire from Halvtann. Okay, so I just missed the corner, but this is fine if you arrive here. If you have more speed, you can even arrive even higher than this. And this is what we want, so here I'm just going to show you. So you would arrive here and enter here. So you cannot enter this wire, but at the left end of it, you will just enter the Halvtann arena. And usually I would split when I enter the room here. And this will just trigger the Halvtann cutscene. And that's it. We have skipped the kidnapping of Huldr, we have skipped the oil platform of the Vikings, and we have skipped the Halvtann fight. And during this cutscene, there's actually not much to do. Just be ready to throw and recall the axe. Now, what I was mentioning about vsync in the settings, and I will say that again later on in the video for people who skipped this part. It seems that for some people, it's actually not that much possible to get the corner boost in the second part with it on. So I can get the corner boost, but in my recent experience of it, it's better actually when you're in the air to have vsync off. It helped me to get better macro timing. So I guess you should turn it off. And so that would be then the end of this video, and I start the next one at this stage. But before that, of course, I will review the other path. Now we're going to discuss the skip as we actually do it nowadays in runs. So instead of going all the way up to invasion, we are going to use a corner boost here to give us some speed and be able to cross the gap to the mountain. Before doing it, let me just repeat that I turn vsync off in the settings. So some people are reported that the skip becomes harder or impossible to do if they have vsync on. And for a long time, I did have it on, and recently I turned it off. And it's not that I get the corner boost more easily, but when I'm in the air, the graphics are a little bit more fluid, and it seems easier to get a good skip. So I guess you should turn it off as well. Now, for this corner boost, so a few things to mention. The timing for the macro is tighter than when you launch from the invasion. And that means that you won't arrive above of the Halfdan cave, but you can arrive a little bit below. I will show you once we're in the on the mountain how far below you can allow yourself to arrive, and where I usually arrive, and what a good skip is. So of course, the higher you arrive, the easier it will be, because if you don't arrive high enough, that will involve a second skip that is a bit hard to pull off, but which I will explain as well. So here, the corner boost actually is on this corner, this ledge. And to do it, we're going to stomp here, jumping from there. And to be fair, I don't have a good advice to do it. It's kind of a training and feeling how to do it. In some runs, I get it quite fast. In some others, it's long. So this is actually like a choke point of the run. I don't always reset, but I can lose runs there mostly. And you can have various qualities of the corner boost. So sometimes you get a very good one where you will really be expelled horizontally, and sometimes you will be expelled a bit more down, and you may bounce here on the ground, but you still have some speed to the left. So it is easy, not easy, sorry, it's possible to pull off the skip anyway. But sometimes you will not have enough speed, or you will just end in the spikes down here or die. So in any case, if this happens, or if you miss one of the macro timing in the middle, then you can just reload the game, and you will be put back here to try again. So let me explain once again how to do it, because I was explaining in the first part, but in case you skipped, I will explain again. So in the air, we are going to use the macro, which is a stomp cancel blink, to keep our horizontal momentum while not losing too much height. And the tighter we do the timing, the less height we are going to lose. But because the blink has a cooldown of 1 second, see the animation here, I can only blink again after 1 second, then you cannot mash the macro, you need to wait at least 1 second. And to be more or less sure that I can do it again, I'm listening to the sound. So After doing the stomp and blink, you hear this kind of whoosh sound. And when the sound is over, then I macro again. It feels like every other macro or stomp doesn't exactly have the same timing, but yeah, you need to get a hand of it. At some point, I know that the Oxymore was also looking at Lumina's hood, like this small wiggling animation. I'm not sure how successful this was. I guess you have to find out for yourself. Another thing that I need to mention, because once I'm trying to do the trick, I will be silent actually to focus, is that after something like 5 or 6 air stalls, the game will load some other part of the map, and you have a very small lag. So at the beginning here, when I'm doing the first ones, just to be sure, I wait a little bit longer. But once I've passed this the small lag, and I am in the middle of the gap here, then I feel comfortable to be a little bit more aggressive on the timing. Then the last thing that I want to mention before I actually try to do it is that you will most likely cross the wire that you actually need to take. And that means that there's a risk that you blink into the wire. Now, I will explain what happens if you do so and what to do. No, don't worry. But if you can avoid it, it's a little bit better. Sometimes we just arrive actually lower than the cable, so this issue does not arise. But if you want a good skip and not have to do the second part of it, you will have to cross the wire. And so you need to be a little bit careful about when you do the macro in order to avoid the wire. So let's try to get it. We'll see how much time it takes me. Maybe I'll have to cut some parts of it when editing the video. It could be nice if I can show different kinds of boost, but I'm not sure about it. So yeah. Last thing I want to mention is that Sarge also used a setup approximately here in his no jump video. So look at the back leg of Lumina. She's in this small hole in the crate or in the wooden ground, and around here, if you blink and then stomp, it can give you the boost. But I'm not sure exactly where you should be to get it. So you can see that here I was too much to the left, so I did not get the corner boost. And if you actually are too much to the right, you won't get it either. So it's a bit tricky to get it, and you usually need to restart it like a few times in a row like this. So see here, it was a kind of a small one. So maybe if I started doing the stomps, it would have been good enough. But this is not a great one. Also in a run, if it takes 5 attempts, I'm still fine. If it takes more than 10, it starts to be a bad run. So that's a good one. See, I wait a little bit more. Here was the lag, so now I can be a little bit more aggressive. Here's the wire. Okay. So that was almost a good one. So that's good if you arrive above the wire where I was. You can even land a little bit higher than this. This would be even better. But you saw one of the difficulties of this skip is that you don't naturally stick to the slope on the mountain. So now I'm going to explain what happens if you don't get high enough or if you miss as I just did. So actually, even with a kind of okay-ish skip, you can try to consistently land somewhere here on this part of the mountain. The lower you can allow yourself to land is here. So let's go there. Let me just mention that if you have power slide, you can do the next trick from here by just initiating a power slide from here. But here I am going to explain how to do without it because obviously we don't have it. So the lower you can allow yourself to land is here. There are ways to come from below, but I don't want to enter into these details now. So if you arrive up to here, that's fine. And here what you would need to do is to go back up and use the same techniques as for the slide, sorry. So using these slam jumps with the correct direction and to go back up. So either by doing as I just did before, from here, you can just do this Tom Consult blinks. Or from here, you can also try to do a stomp and go up. This is one of my nemesis tricks from here. So, but it is possible. You can also just actually you can also just blink. I think like do a slide and rotated blink. So that's why usually I don't want to arrive here, and I prefer to so if I'm seeing that I'm not going to get the good mountain skip, but I see the tree, I want to just arrive here to avoid having to climb to this place. But yeah, there are several ways to get here. Now, before actually demonstrating the skip, I want to explain what happens if you take the wire, either from the invasion or in the middle of it or at the end of it. So this wire is scripted. You cannot get out of it the first time well, not the first time, but before it's broken, you cannot exit it. So what you will need to do if you actually take the wire is to be ready that out of the wire you stomp and you cancel the stomp and blink back to this place. Because normally in the game you will be pushed to the left and then you are not supposed to be able to climb back here. So if you take the wire, let me try to get it from the right to have a little bit more time. So something like this, you will need to stomp, blink, and to get here. Now, if you miss that, there is a backup. So if you arrive here in this place in the mountain and you reload, you will be brought to where you are supposed to be, here. Notice that now the wire is back, so it's repaired, and now I can use it normally. And we actually use that in True Ending speedrun, but I will mention it when it's relevant. So what happens if you arrive here? You're not supposed to be able to climb back. Well, there is a backup. You can get some speed here, jump from here, and do the macro or stomp console blink. So either you slide from here, or you can also stomp directly from here and hold right. Well, and maybe a little bit, yeah, like this. And if you do the stomp console blink at the correct moments, you will be able to grab the ledge actually. And there's also a small hole that you can stand into. So here I could grab it, but there's a small hole here that you can stand on, and that can allow you to grab it by jumping. So let's try to get it a second time. Sorry, I really slide, so I lost the momentum. Here I jump and do the macro. So that's the backup, if you ever go to the left. Now, this shouldn't happen too much in a run. So just to show you that now I can exit the wire because I've reloaded, but usually you cannot do that. So when you're in this place, how to go up in order to reach Galvan? You will need to do a slam jump. So let me show you and then I'll explain. Something like this. And when you're here, it's good. you've done the most difficult part. So this slope, actually, if you have power slide, you can try to stick to it by sliding, but sometimes Lumina doesn't stick. So what you need to do instead is to spam jump. I'm not sure if you hold slide if it helps or not. I could get it by holding slide and by not holding slide. So to get up there, the technique is the following. From here, from the top of this small peak, you jump to the right on top of the end of the route here. And you want to do the stomp above this, and then so hold up and left and jump to do the slam jump, as we saw for the slides. But if you just do that, you will bonk here, as I just did. You will bonk. So what you actually need to do is when you're in the air, you need to hold right, like this. And then you will mostly, so either like this, be very close to the slope, or be a little bit further away. So this is okay. And then when you are on the side of the mountain, that's where you need to spam jump in order to climb, as we saw in several occasions. And sometimes Lumina will indeed jump, but sometimes the jumps will not connect. Like right now, I'm spamming jump, but nothing happens. So if this happens, you can try to do a Storm Console Blink into the mountain to try to reconnect. Like this. And sometimes it won't work either. See? So sometimes you really need to restart the whole trick. But I'm trying to give you as much indications as I can, as many hints as I can, so that you have all the tools to do the trick. Oops. So let's try to do it again. So stand here, stomp above the root, for the right, and then here, mesh jump. Oops. So as you can see, even with a bit of practice, I don't get it all the time. But actually the first one I demonstrated was good, so... Okay, so here it seems I cannot connect. I'm too low, I think. Yeah. So you can see that here I was too low to have a chance. Okay, this should be good. Yeah. So that's it. So this is the hardest part of the trick, to get here. And if you have a good flight above the gap to the mountain, you can arrive either on this slope or even here if you have a very good one. In which case you don't need to bother about this lower part, but I really needed to explain because you need to know how to do it if this happens. And once you're here, you can just do some slam jumps here to get to this place where you can see the galvan wire. So you cannot actually blink into it for now, but just go to the left, either by sliding. You can, if you want, you can stomp here. But yeah, and usually I would split when I enter the room. So here, and this is not the most accurate split, but that's fine. And this just triggers the Halvtann cutscene. We have skipped the Huldr kidnapping, the oil platform, and the Halvtann fight. So in this cutscene, the only thing you need to pay attention to is to just throw and recall the axe, but that's it. So here, throw the axe, recall it. Usually I just mash the button here. But sometimes if I'm a bit distracted, I just forget, but that's fine. And this is where I will stop this video. So I'll see you in the next part.